Okay, I was originally going to be doing this rant with Youngblood, but if I hold back from making this just to wait for him, I'll never get this message across, so sorry Hobbs going so long on this, but if anybody would like to share their thoughts about this, feel free to either leave a comment on the video or make a video response, either is fine. The topic I'm going to be covering here is the term recolor. Yes, people, just shut up for a moment. This isn't what you think. I'm not just ranting on recolors, so just sit down for a second. Now, when the recoloring fad first started, pretty much every recolor was on even terms with each other. If you were a recolor back then, you always defended one another as if you were all one big happy family. I mean, you had people like Blitz defending Bloodshot, you had Vaporeon Trainer defending recolors. Now, fast forward to 2009. That was the era where recolor artists were now at each other's throats, and they still are today. I believe most of the hate started when I made my rant on recolors when I used to be a recolor, so I think that might have sparked a ton of other people to follow in my footsteps, so I guess I was somewhat to blame. However, I wouldn't think it would have gone this far if it weren't for persuasions of other certain people who I will discuss about, so that's why I say I'm somewhat involved. Now, there are two terms of which the term recolor is being used as. The first term, which is obvious to everyone, the character is just a carbon copy of someone else's artwork. You have basic definition, obviously, but now we got this new definition of the term being spread. This one is being used in order to put people down, saying, if you're a recolor, you automatically fail at life. Now, I have a bit of an issue with the second term, and I'll explain why. First off, recoloring doesn't mean you automatically fail at something. I mean, I find it to be a harsh stereotype to everyone who makes recolors. There are decent people who recolor things. Shatsos11 is the best example I can give. He knows he's a recolor of silver, but he doesn't let that affect him in any way, shape, or form. He still carries out his videos, and he still makes good commentaries and just acts like any other user you'd see on the internet. And because of this, he's gotten a bigger fan base than when he started out on his Shadow the Hedgehog Tom account. Does that sound like a failure to you guys? Does Tom sound like the kind of guy you label recolors as nowadays? Of course not. Now, look, all I'm getting at is this point is all of you are doing is just labeling people, and as a certain Danish philosopher said that if Hobbes was with me at this moment, he would so quote him at this point, but once you label me, you negate me. All you're doing is just pointlessly negating someone for being a recolor. Besides, it doesn't make you any special for calling someone like Gyro a recolor. Okay, any retard could look at Gyro and say he's a recolor of Sonic. I mean, just look at it. He's a red Sonic, for God's sakes. How could anyone not think he is a recolor just by looking at that? Oh, Gyro, you're such a recolor. Congratulations, you want a fucking cookie. Seriously, it's like making fun of Helsing and Big Al because they're fat. You're pointing out the obvious. You get no points for pointing out the obvious, okay? You only end up making yourself looking idiotic, but actually thinking you're doing something right by saying a person's a recolor. The second problem I have with this is the majority of the people who use the second term of a recolor are recolors themselves, which comes off as complete irony to the people actually saying that. One person I can bring up is Spike the Hedgehog 8. Now, I don't hate him, but if there's one flaw that I have with the guy is that he's very quick to use the recolor term, well, the second term of it, by using the second definition towards people like FunnyTime77. Now, before you think for a second that I am defending FunnyTime, no, I hate the guy for far more reasons than just being a recolor, but if you want to know why, I'll explain it in a PM or on Skype. But Jonah likes to go up to people like Gyro, FunnyTime, Joshua, and several other users and say they're fail recolors. Hate to break it to you, dude, but your character is also a recolor, so that factor alone just makes your argument towards saying people are recolors just blows up right in your face. And it's not just Jonah, it's a bunch of his other friends as well that do the exact same thing. I'd name them, but there's too many people to list here. They also say how recolor artists suck when I feel they should be saying that into a mirror just to see how stupid they look for saying that. Okay, yes, FunnyTime77 is a shitty recolor artist. So is Joshua. But considering you guys are recolor artists as well, you shouldn't be saying anything at that point. And to make matters worse, even people like FunnyTime and Joshua use that insult. Okay, first I'm going to start out with FunnyTime. First of all, you are a fucking retard, okay? You have the reputation of being the worst recolor artist on the internet. So just the fact that you are mocking people like SonicFan5200 for being a recolor just makes you a bigger retard than ever. Especially considering you started mocking him for being a recolor when the guy stopped making recolors because he was getting tired of the community's bullshit. That alone makes you the most retarded recolor artist in existence. I mean, you pull recolors out of your ass every day and god mod them to all hell just so people can't hurt them. Yet you're going around hopping on the bandwagon just because your idol Spike the Hedgehog Lion 8 was on it, just to think you were cool. No, you are a fucking idiot, and you always will be. Now to move on to Joshua. I know for a fact that Joshua likes to use this negation label. After all, he did call Chief Shadow... what was that again? Oh yeah. You stupid, lazy, good-for-nothing recolor. Now, I don't have anything against Chief Shadow at all. I have talked to him on Skype for quite a bit, and he is actually a pretty cool guy to talk to. But Joshua, on the other hand, I could say something else. And I even recall you making fun of Gyro's recolor when you made that commentary on his top 10 hottest Sonic characters list. Joshua, all I can say is, try saying that into a mirror and just look at how stupid you look saying that. You're as much of a recolor as Chief Shadow, Gyro, and every other recolor artist out there. And before you make a one-shot on this video going, I am not a recolor, doesn't matter if someone else made it for you. It was your sprite. You obviously wanted it to be that way. It was being made for you. You could have turned it back and said, no, I think I want this to be adjusted a little bit, or, you know, just custom make this or something. That way, you know, it's not a complete recolor. You could have done that. Okay, you could have said that to the guy who made your sprite, Metal Gear Blaze, and said, you know, I'm not cool with this, try something else. But no, you didn't. You accepted the sprite the way it was, so obviously you liked it that way. The sprite needed a base, right? You needed to take a silver and shadow base to make the sprite, right? If you needed a base to make up your sprite, then it is a recolor edit. You are still a recolor no matter how you look at it. Don't deny it all, because it just makes you look stupid. I mean, go ahead, deny it all you want. You just look like a complete retard at the end of the day. It's because of people doing this. Me and SonicFan5200 left the recoloring community. I mean, I decided to start doing custom sprites, and SonicFan is using Lucy as his avatar. We both basically said, you know what? Fuck it. This is getting way out of hand. We need to move on from this shit. And we did. It's basically just a bunch of people just pointlessly arguing about recolors when they're on the same boat. Now, I'm not saying that you can't like a certain person who recolors, because, let's be honest here, nobody likes FunnyTime. I mean, he treats women like shit. That's just one of the things he does wrong. And Joshua is just a retard who makes shitty commentaries, but I figure come up with something better to hating a person than they recolor. I mean, the moment you use that term to label someone as, you automatically become a negator and just become a person who stereotypes. I mean, the moment you use that term, just that moment you do. I mean, the recoloring community always has something wrong with it. It's almost as bad as the commentary community. I will admit that. I like some of the people in the commentary community, but there are people in it that just make everyone in that community look bad. Recolor artists? Let's be honest here, they've been doing this since day one. So, to close this up, the recolor label is just to negate people, and if you see a recolor artist using the second term of that word, feel free to laugh at their face, because honestly, you look stupid for negating someone for something you do too. That is called a double standard. We know who you are, we know what characters you recolor, and there's nothing you can do to hide it. Well, I'm glad I got this out of the way. Like I said, if anybody wants to add their thoughts on this, feel free to leave a comment below or make a video response, that's fine. If you have your own experience where you have seen this happen, that's fine. If you have nothing to say at all or want to remain neutral about this, again, that's fine. Hope I got a message across for once instead of people just going, oh, don't pay attention to him, he's hot and looks like Mega Man. And I'll see you later in the next video.